Good morning students. Today we are going to learn about creation of municipalities and corporation during British rule. In this chapter we will discuss the process of urbanization in colonial India, explore and distinguishing characteristics of colonial cities and track social changes with them. We will look closely development in three big cities. First one is Madras and second one is Calcutta and third one is Bombay. The company established trading and administrative officers in each of this settlement. Now we are going to learn about the corporation during the period of British rule. Creations of municipalities and corporation during British rule. Municipal governance in India has existed since the year 1687 with the formation of Madras Municipal Corporation and then Calcutta and Bombay Municipal Corporation in 1726. In the early part of the 19th century, almost all towns in India had experienced some form of municipal government. In 1882, then the Viceroy of India, Lord Ripon, known as the father of local self-government, resolution of local self-government which lead the democratic form of municipal governance in India. In 1919, the Government of India Act incorporated the need of the resolution and the powers of democratically elected government were formulated. In 1935, another Government of India Act brought local government under the purview of state or provincial government and specific powers were given. Municipal government. The development of local government in the British India may be traced in three distinct features. First phase. The municipal government in India has been in existence since 1688 with the formation of Madras Municipal Corporation with a mayor. Sir Josiah Child, one of the directors of East India Company, was responsible for the formation of the corporation. The Charter Act of 1793 established municipal administration in three presidential towns. According to the provisions of the Act of 1850, municipalities were formed in the northwestern frontier provinces, Oudh and Bombay. Lord Mayow's famous resolution in 1870 intended to afford opportunities for the development of self-government. Ripon's resolution on local self-government. Second phase. Ripon's resolution on local self-government was landmark in the history of local self-government. So, Ripon is rightly regarded as the father of local self-government in India, and his resolution as the Magna Carta of local self-government. Lord Ripon sought to remove these obstacles and sphere of local self-government by his resolution of 1882. Accordingly, in rural areas, district boards of local boards known as Tahil or Taluk boards were established. The members were to be elected by rent payers rather than nominated by the government. Lord Ripon is known as have to granted the Indians first taste of freedom by introducing local self-government in 1882. His scheme of local self-government developed the municipal institution which had been growing up in the country ever since India was occupied by the British Crown. He led the series of enactment in which larger power of the local self-government were given to the rural and urban bodies and elective people received some wider rights. Local self-government. Lord Ripon, regarded to have been the father of local self-government in India. He formulated local government and laid foundation of representative institutions in India. His schemes of local self-government developed the municipal institution which had been growing up in the country ever since. Above all, the Lord Ripon is known for the resolution of 1882, which would give Indians the right to local self-government. The scheme of local self-government, which developed the municipal institution which had been under direct control of the British Crown. The series of enactment would set up local self-governing bodies in the rural and urban areas. For this, he is known as the father of local self-government in India. Administration of the presidency towns. Towards the close of 18th century, the parliamentary statute authorized the Governor General to appoint justices of the peace in these towns. After various trials, a system of government was evolved for the three presidency towns which had the essential features like large corporation with elected members, a strong independent executive authority with adequate safeguard for the checking accounts and statutory provisions for the performance of essential duties such as sanitation, water supply, and collection of revenue, etc. In this sense, British India did not include the princely states directly ruled by Indian princes, though under a close eye from British authorities. At Indian independence in 1947, there were over 500 of these small, more extremely small, but with a few very large ones, making up 40% of the areas and 23% of the population of the whole British Raj. Diarchy of the province. Third phase. The Government of India Act of 1919 introduced diarchy in the provinces. The Government of India Act in 1935 introduced provincial autonomy. With the attainment of independence in 1947, India had the unique opportunity of making and molding local government and meet the needs of the free nation. Diarchy also spelled diarchy system of double government introduced by the Government of India Act for the provinces of British India. The principle of diarchy was the division of executive branch of each provincial government into authoritarian and popularly responsible sections. The reserved subjects were controlled by the British governor of the province. The transferred subjects were given to the Indian ministers of the province. The Government of India Act in 1919 made a provisions for classification of central and provincial subjects. Thank you, students.